The data is clear. In-person school is safe and it's what's best for our kids. I believe in local control. That means I'm going to continue to fight for Oklahomans to have the right to decide what's best for their kids. Parents need the option to get their kids back in school. Decisions about schools should be made by parents and entertainment, not at a union hall by people with their own agenda. Before I close, I want to share a few other quotes with you from people who agree with me that we need to reopen schools. Quote number one, medical research as well as data from around the world make clear that in-person learning is safe when the appropriate protections are in place, even in communities with high transmission rates. Quote number two, what this all boils down to is giving families the option to make the best decisions for themselves. Quote number three, the value of in-person learning for our kids is immeasurable, and we must do everything we can to help them get a great education safely. Over the last 10 months, medical experts and epidemiologists have closely followed the data and have learned that schools can establish a low risk of transmission. The first quote was from Governor Cuomo of New York. The second one was from Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago. And the third one was from Governor Whitmer of Michigan. Even the most liberal people in the country who have locked everything down know going back to school is the right thing to do. Oklahomans continue to demand that your local school boards put your kids first. Speak up, get involved. At the same time, thank your local superintendents and school boards if you have the option to put your kids in school. Sadly, just a few blocks can make a big difference in the world. Students in Broken Arrow were able to go to school for 66 days in the fall semester. The state's largest high school found a way to get this done. They innovated, they had bold leadership, committed to putting students first. Just minutes away, Tulsa Public Schools, their high schoolers haven't been in the building for 305 days. 305 days. All because you live a couple blocks the wrong direction. Let's do the right thing. We need to put our students first. We need to get them back in the classroom. We'll open up for a few questions. Well, again, we've been saying from the very beginning since March, wear your mask. And I want to say again, wear your mask, wash your hands, watch your distance. It's not about magic words, it's about compliance. Most school districts are doing this. I believe that more school districts, even if they don't have a mask mandate, will do it now since the quarantine rules have changed. I think it's great. It's a great question. It's a great opportunity. Now that they don't have to be quarantined, if they're both safe and wearing masks, I think that's exactly what this is for. That's why the Department of Health rolled this out.
Governor Stitt, many schools are on the A and B schedule, and I've heard from a lot of them it's because of staffing reasons. They have to go into quarantine. Do you think that this new policy will help them maybe go back to 5 days? Would you like to see kids in school for 5 days?
Absolutely. That's one thing that Secretary Walters, I'll let you kind of add to it. That's one thing we've heard from superintendents across the state of Oklahoma as they talked to the Department of Health and shared their concerns. There was a quarantine problem. You had people in and out as soon as they were exposed to a student, even though there was no transmission. Nobody ended up with having COVID. The in and out was problematic. And so Dr. Fry and his team did a fantastic job studying what they did in Ohio, Missouri, Utah, looking at the data, and the study that we just talked about in North Carolina was all part of the decision making to hopefully get those kids from A to B. I've talked to a lot of parents on the A and B schedule. It's just not saying teachers are complaining about it. We're hearing from students around the state they're just not getting the education that they need, and we think that this is going to help them go to a 5-day week.
Governor, what is your thought on some bills that are filed as far as, I think one even said it would be unlawful for a school district to require their students to wear masks. Are you ready to veto those things? I mean, you just said local control. Some of these would strip city council, some of these would strip school boards of this power. What are your thoughts on this?
Specifically what bill you're talking about, obviously, we'll cross that bridge when they come to me. But no, we like you said before, I have no plans to veto a bill like that.
A quick question on vaccines. Dr. Fry mentioned teachers 65 and older will start getting vaccines this week. Do we know yet about when we could be looking at all teachers in the state having the opportunity to get the vaccination?
Great question. Short answer is no, not yet. It's very much dependent on vaccine supply, vaccine availability. There's some new information that came out from HHS today indicating that they're pushing more vaccine to us. They're no longer holding back second doses. We're going to take a look at that, see how that fits into our plans. You probably heard from them, if you're paying attention to that, they're encouraging us to roll in other groups as quickly as we can. They talked about encouraging states to do a similar plan to what we've already initiated. So as soon as we feel like we have sufficient vaccine and we can add those groups, we're definitely going to add those groups. We're not going to wait to finish all 65 and over. We're not going to wait to finish all those under with comorbidities. We're going to get to them just as soon as we can. But it's absolutely a vaccine supply.
If I could follow up on that, teachers often receive like flu shots right there at school. Is that something maybe they can expect to just walk down to the office and get a COVID shot and go back to teaching that day, or are they going to have to go to a clinic like everyone else?
So there are several options that we're looking at on how we would administer vaccine to teachers in those settings. First of all, I want to reiterate what's already been said. Teachers that are 65 and older, we're working on getting them vaccinated now. When we roll out that next group of those under 65 that have comorbidities, we're going to encourage them to get vaccinated immediately. When we get into a broader group, teachers within the school settings, we've talked about several options. The big thing to keep in mind is we've got to maintain high throughput on our clinics. We can't break down a lot of our resources to go do isolated pods and miss the opportunity to run a lot of Oklahomans through those clinics and get vaccinations into them. But we're looking at some of our resources we have that may allow for some more strike team type approaches in those settings to take care of teachers, or we potentially could have special pods that are specifically for teachers. But we're going to help facilitate getting them vaccinated as quickly as possible.
Deputy Commissioner, just to follow up on that, you don't have any second doses set aside in Oklahoma, is that right?
So we have it set up right now is we're still operating under OWS's system, Operation Warp Speed, their system of holding back second doses. They're shipping at 3 weeks for Pfizer, 4 weeks for Moderna. What they indicated today that there is a change coming, and they will start shipping all that at one time. Currently, the boost doses, the second doses we have in the state, have just come on board, and they've just come on board into our inventory in time for those second doses. So no, we do not have a cache of second doses that we've been holding for time for them to come in.
They are shipping telling you these are boost doses and we're sending you today. Use these for boost doses.
That is correct. When they do the allocation for us, we get essentially two categories. We get prime doses, which are for the initial dose, and then we get a category of boost doses that are designed specifically for the second dose.
What is going to be the strategy if you open this one week, just let it all flow in? I mean, are you guys going to try to vaccinate people one dose, or are you going to plan on giving people the recommended FDA dosage of 2?
So we are engaging in meetings right now. This is new information. We talked about how flexible we have to be with this vaccination rollout, and this is another example of the rules of the game change essentially, and it tossed on us. We're meeting to discuss what that means for us and our plan. We want to adapt in such a way that we can maximize the amount of doses for Oklahomans, but also be responsible for ensuring that there are boost doses available as well. A lot of the information that's coming down is still incomplete. For example, is there going to be enough of a regular supply of vaccine coming into the state that will meet those boost dose requirements? So we're still waiting on some information to come through so we can make some good responsible decisions on how to move forward.
We're going to split this, and I'll take the first part of that. There are many school districts throughout our state that have been following the data, have really excellent data that was looked at. The question that was always out there was, are they having low numbers of positives because they aren't testing? In other words, they quarantine, they go home, they say, well, we have very few kids test positive. So it was just a big unknown, and we were really waiting for answers to that question. So while we initiated, we're going going to initiate a study here in Oklahoma. Some other studies did much larger numbers before we did. And so now that they've published that data, we have data out there that we can use. So now we have the information, and we suspected that we knew we were going to be getting to this at some point in time, but we wanted to make sure that we had the data to support our decision.
Thank you.
I think that's a great question. So let me just start by talking about the data that we do have. So some of the data we have is basically how kids are doing, how students are doing in districts that have gone virtual. So you saw earlier us talk about how many classes they failed. But the difficulty in determining how far academically they've fallen is different districts use different type of benchmark testing. We are looking to see some of that data to see where our students are in relation to a statewide standard, national standard. And again, at the end of the year, there will be those standardized tests where we can review that. But currently, we've got districts that use different types of benchmark data, so we are looking at that together. Right now, kind of the data set that we have is students failing classes. And I would like to reiterate, I think it's very important to make the distinction that there are some students that are successful in virtual options and like that virtual option. We're not talking about taking away the option. Our concern is, again, in all of our policies, we try to do what's best for all Oklahoma students. And we think that all students deserve that option. And for us, the governor is passionate about no matter where you live, you should have a quality education choice, no matter where you live in the state. And we're in a predicament right now where there are some parts of the state not only do you not have necessarily a high quality option, you don't even have an in-person option. And for us, where you live should determine if you have access to a teacher, to a quality education. And again, the preface of your question, back to that, we do hear from parents on a regular basis that are trying to help their kids at home, and especially when we see the enrollment numbers about pre-K and kindergarten students, those students have a really difficult, some of those students have a really difficult time virtually learning at home. There's not a teacher there with them that understands how to help their student out on that curriculum. So we hear from parents a lot. We hear from a lot of the younger parents, parents of younger age students, that talk about how difficult virtual learning is when they have multiple jobs, when they're not trained as a teacher, when they don't have experience. And so we are very concerned on how far students are falling behind, and again, we are actively looking for better data sets so that we can see exactly where our students are.
Mr. Secretary, I have a couple questions for you as well. One, we've spoken to some parents who are concerned about standardized testing. Is there any possibility that would be put off for a year? And then my second question is, it appears that a number of districts have a much higher than normal level of students who did not re-enroll last semester and don't have any transfer papers. They are not enrolled anywhere, and some of them have started trickling back into schools, and some have not yet. And is that on your radar? And what is there to be done about that?
Absolutely. The first question, the testing at the end of the semester is going to be very important. We have to know where our students are. That's not meant as anything that's punitive to the schools and where the people. We got to know where the kids are. We've got to know how well our students are learning, where they are at in relation to other states. We have to have that data set. I believe it's essential that we have that data to see where our students are. Again, we're going to have to pick that up. We're going to have to make sure these students. We don't want these students to be lost academically. We need to know as a state where we are at the end of this year. Your second question there. I apologize, it's your blank.
And students who are not enrolled.
Oh yes, okay, sorry. Yes, we're very concerned about why parents made that option. Why did they choose not to enroll their students? Is it because of the virtual option? Are they in a district that doesn't offer an in-person option, so they chose to wait a year to see if next year that option will be granted to them? Who are all these students? What are they doing now? Absolutely, we are actively looking to see where these students are and what they are doing this semester. I have two more different, if anyone has something about that. The first is, I know Operation Warp Speed is getting those out of the state. Overall, has Operation Warp Speed delivered fewer doses? Has it been slower than you all expected? I'll let these guys come up and give you some specific numbers, but I'm so proud of the team. We're waiting on the numbers to come out. We're actually number 9 right now in the country in vaccinations per capita. And top 10, that's fantastic. And I think we're waiting on the numbers to come out. We actually think we're a little higher than that. I don't know specifically. I'll let them give the numbers, what we have, the numbers that we thought we were going to have projected, early on Trump administration. Yeah.
Right now, I've seen the average increase is extremely high. Some hospitals have never said that they were thinking about what they're going to do to start to run out of resources, prioritize, and make sure they're going to take care of. Do you feel like anything additional needs to be done right now, or what do you think needs to be done right now to make this further?
Well, we're actually working on that. Our executive order expires tomorrow, and so our health department is working on what requirements to renew, and so our restrictions to renew. 1794, I believe, was the hospital capacity. That stayed pretty flat the last couple of months or so. That's always a concern of ours. It's something that we're constantly in contact with health professionals, chief medical officers at all the different hospitals. Yes, Matt.
Great question. I appreciate it. Yes, there are a number of things, and I appreciate. I read the article too, and I'm talking about Integris. We speak them daily, and so what they're doing is projecting their plans. They're talking about future plans. Everybody has a plan on the shelf. So the answer is, are there things that should be done? The answer, absolutely. I think whenever you see terms like the rationing of care, that evokes fear, but it doesn't tell the whole story. The whole story is that we're just beginning to see a selective reduction in certain procedures, probably procedures that could have been reduced a long time ago at certain hospitals. So those numbers we watch daily. We obviously track them. We discuss the hospitals there. Let me walk through a few of the things, if you could, that we've done to aid in this. And the hospitals generate this list. They ask these things, and some of these things are eligibility for at-home health care. We've not provided that, right? Presumptive eligibility for long-term care placement. That's been done. We've reduced the decision time for insurance for the movement to the next level of care from 72 hours to 24 hours. That's been done. We authorized and ongoing authorized to work with CMS outpatient infusion. That's really large and very valuable service, outpatient infusion services. Additionally, outpatient and what we consider day outpatient surgery centers or day surgery centers are eligible to keep patients overnight. Most of the major hospitals have those in their stockpile. They don't use those for patients right now. We paid over $85 million in direct financial aid to hospitals. Significant. Continue to provide no-cost testing and no-cost vaccine. We'll continue to do so. And then we've worked actively with their list of discharge patients, work drill, try to get those patients out of the hospital, free of those rooms, and then finally we activated the RMRS to aid in the transfer of patients between the hospital systems. So things that could continue to be done is before there's any type of rationing of care, as the article put it, we would expect a full reduction in selective procedures, not a partial reduction, a full reduction to create that capacity. We would expect more participation from specialty hospitals, focus hospitals. 1,080 beds that are out there that can treat COVID patients, and we watch those regularly, and the commitment as of last week that they're committed to 36 beds for COVID patients. So we expect more participation from those specialty hospitals. Those are your hospitals that are typically performing what you would consider your elective procedure. Truly elective procedure. We expect more participation before we get into town rationing care. And then finally, we expect the hospitals to continue to convert outpatient beds into inpatient beds. And so there are a lot of steps to get there before we see any type of what you call rationing or care. We have a lot of leverage still to continue to pull to get there. So that's something that daily we work with the hospitals to make sure that those numbers are trending in a direction that is manageable for the hospital and manageable for the state. So we're ahead of them.
Governor, could I ask you one thing? It dawned on me, you mentioned that you want parents to make the decisions about their students or about their kids, where they're going to school, what they're doing. You want that decision made at the dinner table, and I think you said not in a union hall somewhere by people who may have their own agenda. I think I actually have to go drop some documents off at the OEA later, so they probably would like me to ask what you meant by that.
are you hearing stories of, have you talked to the unions? Are they saying they want to keep schools closed? I think I have heard that a little bit, but can you elaborate on what you meant by that?
Yeah, I just want, when all the dust settles, COVID behind us, I want everybody in Oklahoma, I want everybody to know that kids need to be in school. I want kids in school. And so we can spend it however you want to spend it, whoever's not opening up schools, not giving kids jobs for in-person learning. Kids need to be in school. The stat speaks for itself. Tulsa Public Schools, a high school student has not been in class in 305 days. So you can write what you want about it. I don't know exactly what's happening. I'm trying to be transparent with the data, trying to share with Oklahoma every single day. The data speaks for itself. Kids need to be in school, and I think now nationally you're seeing that person as well.